2020 is the year of classics for Kato, which means I ushered in the decade throwing it back to the 90s with Yu Hakusho. I'll be honest, if you've seen my Hunter x Hunter videos, then you know my depth of knowledge when it comes to some of these certified gems is severely lacking. This was my very first time watching what for many people was an introduction to anime itself, and it's awesome. You know, there's this earnestness to Yu Hakusho, with an unabashed commitment to friendship and the bonds we make as people. The show has really dug into me in a way a good shonen should. But there's something odd that happens sometimes when you appeal to such a massive audience like Yu Hakusho did. You know, artists by the very nature of the profession tend to be a bit on the oddball spectrum. Think of the type of person who has dedicated enough hours to the craft of drawing that they could create something as beautiful as a published manga. That's a person who's probably been very singularly purposed in a way that disconnects them from those around them. As they've gone deeper and deeper into the craft, they've probably exposed themselves to art the casual purveyor never knew about. They probably developed niche interests and have become influenced by weird art house media. The point is, the person creating art, even at a mainstream level like Yu Hakusho, probably has a small part of their brain that wants to do something weird. Because, well, if they were as normal as everyone else, they wouldn't be creating anime. My name is Hoodie, this is Kato, and today we're talking about the incredible animation of the Hiei vs. Bui fight in the Dark Tournament arc. Did you know that Kato is a two-man operation? That means the few dollars this channel makes are split between Zero and I. To do this full-time, we need your support. Go to patreon.com/KatoYT and give just $1 to get access to our Discord, or buy a shirt at KatoMerch.com. With your help, we're one step closer to dismantling the oligarchy of anime YouTube. Of course, I'm just a dude on YouTube. Everything I've said so far is armchair psychology at best. But I got thinking about this disconnect between creator and consumer when I was 8 hours deep into my binge and watching the Hiei vs. Bui fight for the very first time. And in a totally unexpected way, this became my favorite episode of the entire series. At 8 hours, it starts to not matter how much you like a show, you start losing focus. At that point, your mind starts to wander and you may glaze over in some of the less climactic scenes. It's not ideal, but it's reality. Yet, as Hiei unleashed his darkness flame, and you get that first glimpse at some of the facial distortion, immediately my attention was forced back onto the screen. Yu Hakusho is far from a slouch in the animation department. As far as 90s anime goes, this looks as good as the best of them. But in some ways, it doesn't do much to stand out beyond that. Now, I'm far from an expert on animation, so I won't make any claims that I can't back up, but I never watched these first 50 episodes or so and thought, there's a visionary director behind the wheel. The source manga obviously has the fantastic art of Togashi behind it, and as far as I can tell, the show lives up to that standard. But it's when Akiyuki Shinbo takes his stylization to the forefront and unleashes a full flurry of fluid, vibrant animation that this show transcends into its fullest potential as an anime. But despite that, going online and scouring discussion threads for the episode lead to divided opinions at best. Some praise the animation, as I have, for being so energetic and really exemplifying the devastating aura of the Darkness Flame, while others criticize inconsistent character models and silly expressions. That's definitely not an inaccurate observation. If you take any given screenshot of a character during this blowout, they'll probably look pretty weird. But to me, that's kind of a disservice to the medium as a whole to judge animation based off of still images. And more importantly, it's a disservice to an amazing director to not at least try to understand the intent behind this choice. This episode does not look like other episodes, but that only further reinforces the fact that this ability is not like other abilities. I think Shinbo took this moment to go all out because it gives a sense of bizarreness to the Darkness Flame. As character models become more rounded than we're used to and the show almost becomes pure black and red, reality starts to distort from what we know of it. Hiei is summoning a powerful energy from the depths of another realm, meant to incinerate any and all in its path. It's an ability that nearly consumes him, one of the strongest characters in the show. Every stylization choice further emphasizes this otherworldly attack as not just a black flame version of Yusuke's spirit gun, but almost a ritual to summon a demonic entity. This episode could have just been any other run-of-the-mill fight. It could have been as good as the manga was and let the writing of Togashi carry it to the finish line. But when adapting manga to anime, why not use the fullest of the medium's potential in a way that the manga couldn't? My favorite example of this comes towards the end of the fight, where Bui thinks he successfully turned the Darkness Flame onto Hiei himself. What was once a single page of the manga where the embers of the attack form back into Hiei's body becomes a much more visceral sequence, embodying a battle between Hiei and the dragon. I'm not going to say that one is necessarily better than the other, but the way the manga portrays Hiei's return is very casual, as if there was never any doubt, and Hiei had planned it all from the start. 1 second he's gone, the next he's posing and ready to battle again. Conversely, the anime portrays this as a struggle. We watch as an orb of darkness energy pulses and stretches in itself, almost as if Hiei was trapped inside, fighting to get out. In order to live and continue his fight versus Bui, Hiei has to battle the dragon and tame its energy. It's a very raw, tense moment. You're forced to sit in the uncertainty of not actually knowing whether Hiei will make it, and the moment he does is all the more epic for it. In a way, it trades the cool calmness of the manga for intense triumph. One is not inherently better than the other, rather both are equally valid and directed in different ways to complement the different intentions. Sometimes it feels like we've divorced ourselves from authorial intent to such a degree that we no longer actually even consider what was a creator's intention when writing or directing a scene. This feels more prevalent with more weird, art house type filmmaking that somehow made it into the mainstream, where it's easier to call a work pretentious or enigmatic without purpose rather than just accept that maybe, as an audience, we don't know the answer. At least, not right away. It's okay to watch something and think, I don't get this. But I get the impression that people don't really like doing that anymore. As if not getting something was an insult to their intelligence rather than an admission that something was created to inspire thought and deliberation. Episode 58 of Yu Yu Hakusho is weird. It employs animation techniques that we've only seen glimpses of in the series thus far. It takes stylization to an 11 and sacrifices some of the more comfortable, average expectations to do so. But to watch this fight and come out of it thinking, I don't know why it looked like this was bad, to me says less about the failures of Shinbo and more about your unwillingness to rise to the art's level. In a previous video, I made a claim to objectivity in art. It was stupid and ultimately missed the mark on what exactly I was trying to say. The truth is, there is no objectivity in art. There is no objectively correct style of animation, and there is no objectively great director. I don't believe by any means one is obligated to love Yu Yu Hakusho and think this fight was an objective masterpiece. But I do believe that as viewers, especially those seeking to learn and eventually become creators in this very field, it behooves us to accept that some people just know what they're doing. That Akiyuki Shimbo is an amazing director. That Togashi created some of the best manga to ever exist. We don't need to agree or even approve of all of their decisions, but by submitting to the fact that there is purpose and intent behind their choices, we gain the opportunity to learn from their wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like down below and share it with your friends. Like I said at the beginning, 2020 is the year of classics here on Kato, which basically means that every month, both Zero and I will be making at least 2 analysis videos for a different classic anime. This month, it was obviously Yu Yu Hakusho. You can expect Zero's video on the topic in the coming week. Next month is going to be the OVA that started it all, 1993's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I want to give a massive shout out to Spencer IRuleAtGames and all of the other incredible patrons over at patreon.com/KatoIT. Please, if you can, head on over there and give just a single $1 to get access to our exclusive patron Discord. You could also get our t-shirts over at KatoMerch.com, or you could check out my comic Always Tomorrow over on the Twitter at Zero and Hoodie. Links to all of these will be in the description. My name is Hoodie, this is Kato, and we'll see you next week.